Welcome back. So here we are, we're in Module 10. Module 10 primary focuses not on the creation of group policies, but managing the group policies themselves. Now, the author gives an analogy talking about a tax rate. I like to look at it similar to different laws or rules that we have to play by. So I've got rules that I have to go by that are city rules. We've got federal rules we got to go by. We've got rules that I have to play by at work. I've got different rules I got to play by at home. And which one has precedence, and what if these rules don't necessarily align with each other? As they say in this chapter, these policies conflict. So let's go down through. And we need to have standards when it comes to policies. So in 2008, Microsoft created these policies within Server, and been with us since then, where we can go through and think of it like the protocol that we go by. Now, in networking, we think of protocol as the step-by-step processes. We think of TCP or IP. This is a protocol, but it's not necessarily a networking thing. It's rights, permissions, access, management of resources. Now, we can manage people, say what people can have access to what things, who has the ability to control other people within the system. We can create scripts that impact computers, that impact users. They shut down, start up the system. We can go through and say, I don't want anybody in that office accessing any of these websites. That's a policy. And we can implement that policy within our network. So I said, it's like rules. Well, are we talking about rules on the person? Are we talking about rules on that specific device? Are we talking about rules when you're going on the internet using a device? Or is it just one device? These are all the different kinds of policies. I say rules and policies are almost synonymous in this context. Okay. So they've got a long list of different types or different scenarios associated with group policies. So we can create this group policy object. We call it a container. Now, in previous weeks, we looked at the containers as like a folder that housed things. We'll still think of it like that, but within this group policy container, we've got different things that we may want to see to go in and access the policy itself. So come down in Notepad, there's a template itself, and we can use either the MMC to go in and modify things, or we can actually go in using PowerShell. So how do these things, let's look at the mapping of it. Okay, so we've got local policies that work their way all the way up the food chain to OU policies, and they've got all these different objects and the precedence of them. So the strongest one are the OU policies, and we've got domain policies, and we've got site policies, and then we've got local. You know, I was using the analogy to we've got federal, and we've got state, and we've got local, and I got at work, and then I got at home. That's us working our way down the policy precedents. Right. So if the federal government said, you're not allowed to do this anywhere in the country, that's high level. Can I say, well, you're allowed to do it at my house? Well, the overarching one, and most people may say, I'm going to do whatever I want in my house. The overarching policy is the one that the rest have to adhere to. So we'll get familiar with this. I've got another LinkedIn, it's a short one, for you to go through relative to group policy management. And here we go through talking about the hierarchy between the OU, the domain, and that's working our way right on down. Okay. So the rights and permissions get inherited, and just because you're a member of the OU does not necessarily mean that everybody in the OU can do the same thing. So we've got a policy at the root. There's a policy for them. Sales department, they've got a different set of policies. And we come down to the users, there's a different set of policies. And they're all on the same system. We're just managing different policies for each one. So I talked about the hierarchy. Up here is the base level, the root level. Right? And that's what I was referring to before about that hierarchy. Right? So we've got to go through and map everything out step by step relative to who's going to be a member of what groups, what organizational units, to keep track of what policies need to be applied at what levels of the organization. Here you can see it drop down. Now we can create a template and just go in and fill the blanks as needed. We can, I'd said before, we could set up different policies to lock down certain things. Certain people can access certain things, and that's all we're really doing within this. As I said, we'll walk through in the homework this module, step by step, everything that's in here. I'm going to go through and beat you up on this twice, but essentially we're just keeping track of what's taking place within this system. And we don't want to run into conflicts between one group and another. And I thought this one was the policy adhered here. Now there was a conflict between the different levels. And we've got to map everything out. Okay. So they're talking here about drive maps, and that's a separate thing altogether. So like I said, we can go through and we can filter out different IP ranges. Only certain users can access certain things, certain devices, certain websites. Beyond that, it's a lot of this is rehash, but it's just digging down into the details. So with that said, go through, knock out the homework, and I'll see you in Module 11.